Mika used to promise herself that every Monday would be different. At 29, she lived in a tiny apartment in Osaka, worked long hours at a marketing agency, and constantly felt exhausted. Every morning started the same way, rushing out the door with canned coffee and sweet bread from the convenience store. Lunch was usually eaten at her desk while answering emails. Dinner happened late at night, usually takeout, eaten in front of her phone while half watching videos she barely remembered. And slowly, almost invisibly, her body changed. Not dramatically, not overnight, just enough for her jeans to feel tighter every few months. Just enough for her to avoid mirrors when shopping. Just enough to make her feel uncomfortable in photos. The strange thing was, she wasn't lazy. She had tried intense workouts, expensive diet programs, juice cleanses, calorie counting apps she deleted after 3 days. Every attempt started with motivation and ended with frustration. One rainy evening, after climbing the stairs to her apartment completely out of breath, Mika sat on the floor staring at a bag of convenience store fried chicken and whispered something she had never admitted before. "I don't think I can force myself anymore." That night, she called her grandmother in Okinawa. Her grandmother laughed softly and said something unexpected. "Mika, Japanese people were staying slim long before gyms existed." At first, Mika rolled her eyes. But over the next few months, her grandmother slowly introduced her to old everyday habits, quiet habits woven into Japanese life so naturally they barely felt like health advice at all. No extreme diets, no punishment, no obsession. And for the first time in years, Mika stopped fighting her body. Instead, she changed her environment, her rituals, and the rhythm of her everyday life. Months later, she had lost weight naturally, but more importantly, she felt calm around food again. And that's the real secret behind why Japan has one of the world's lowest obesity rates. It's not a magical diet, it's a way of living. Here are 10 Japanese habits that quietly keep people slim without needing a gym. Habit 1. Hara Hachi Bu. Eat until you're 80% full. In Okinawa, there's a 2,500-year-old Confucian phrase still repeated before meals. Hara Hachi Bu. It means eat until you're 80% full. Mika's grandmother taught her something simple. Fullness isn't instant. Your brain needs time to catch up to your stomach. But modern eating is so fast that most people overshoot fullness before they even notice. So Mika started putting her chopsticks down between bites. At first, it felt awkward. Then, something surprising happened. She naturally ate less without trying. No calorie counting, no restriction, just slowing enough for her body to speak. This one habit alone can quietly cut hundreds of calories a day without feeling like sacrifice. Habit 2. Walk everywhere as the default. In many countries, exercise is a separate activity. In Japan, movement is built into life itself. Japanese commuters often walk 7,000 to 8,000 steps daily, just getting to trains, shops, and restaurants. Mika realized she had structured her life around convenience. Elevators, delivery apps, shortcuts everywhere. So she made tiny changes. She got off one train stop earlier, she always took stairs, she walked to buy groceries instead of ordering them. None of it felt like exercise. But that's exactly why it worked. The healthiest movement is often the movement you barely notice. Habit 3. Eat with your eyes first. Japanese meals are famous for small bowls, colorful dishes, and careful presentation. This isn't accidental. The brain experiences food visually before the first bite even happens. Large plates encourage large portions. Small dishes create the feeling of abundance from modest amounts. Mika stopped eating from giant takeaway containers and began plating her meals differently. Rice in a small bowl. Vegetables arranged neatly. Protein served separately. Suddenly, meals felt satisfying instead of rushed and chaotic. Presentation changed her psychology, and psychology changes appetite. Habit 4. Drink green tea throughout the day. Before, Mika drank sweet coffees and bottled milk teas almost daily without thinking about it. Her grandmother replaced them with green tea, matcha, sencha, hojicha. Warm, earthy, calming. Green tea contains catechins, compounds linked to mild metabolic support. But the bigger benefit is behavioral. Tea slows you down. It turns drinking into a ritual instead of mindless consumption. Mika began replacing just one sugary drink a day, then two. Within weeks, her cravings became quieter. Sometimes the simplest changes create the biggest ripple effects. Habit 5. Eat fermented foods daily. Japanese meals often include fermented foods like miso, natto, pickles, and soy products. These foods support gut bacteria, digestion, and appetite regulation through the gut-brain connection. But Mika didn't care about microbiomes at first. She just noticed something practical. A small bowl of miso soup before meals made her less hungry, less bloated, more satisfied. Modern diets often overload the stomach while starving the gut. Traditional Japanese eating quietly repairs that balance, and when digestion improves, overeating often decreases naturally too. Habit 7. Ichiju fansai. 1 soup, 3 side dishes. Usually rice, miso soup, protein, and vegetable sides. The brilliance of this system is that it prioritizes variety instead of volume. Western meals often center around one giant main dish. Japanese meals spread satisfaction across multiple smaller foods. Mika noticed this changed how she thought about fullness. She no longer chased the heavy, stuffed feeling. Instead, she felt nourished, balanced, satisfied without exhaustion afterward. When meals contain variety, fiber, texture, and nutrients, the body stops demanding excess. Habit 8. Treat sleep like a health ritual. People often underestimate how deeply sleep affects weight. Poor sleep increases ghrelin, the hormone that makes you feel hungry the next day. Mika used to scroll on her phone until 1 a.m., then wake up craving sugar and caffeine constantly. Her grandmother taught her an evening routine instead. Warm bath, dim lights, no screens before bed, cool room. At first, it sounded old-fashioned, but after a week, Mika noticed her cravings shrinking dramatically. She woke up calmer, clearer, less desperate for quick comfort foods. Weight gain is not always about discipline. Sometimes it's simply exhaustion wearing a disguise. Habit 8. Choose fish more often than heavy meat. Japan consumes more fish per person than almost any country in the world. Fish provides lean protein and omega-3 fats that help reduce inflammation associated with weight gain. Mika didn't become obsessed with nutrition science. She just made one simple swap each week. One red meat meal became grilled salmon, then tuna, then mackerel. The meals felt lighter but strangely more satisfying. Protein helps fullness, inflammation affects energy, and healthy eating becomes sustainable when it feels enjoyable instead of restrictive. Habit 9. Make sweet things special. Japanese desserts are very different from oversized, ultra-sugary treats common elsewhere. Traditional wagashi are subtle, delicate, and intentionally small. Dessert is appreciated, not inhaled. Mika realized she had trained herself to expect sweetness constantly, after lunch, after dinner, during work stress, during boredom. So instead of banning sweets completely, she changed her relationship with them. Desserts became occasional experiences instead of daily habits. And over time, her taste buds adapted. Fruit tasted sweeter, tea felt satisfying, the constant sugar cravings slowly disappeared. Your palate can be retrained, but only when sweetness stops being background noise. Habit 10. Eat without distraction. This may be the most powerful habit of all. In Japan, eating at a table without screens is still common. Food receives attention, its smell, texture, appearance, warmth. Mika realized she barely remembered most of her meals because she consumed them while scrolling endlessly. So she made one rule: no phone during one meal each day. That tiny shift changed everything. When attention returns to eating, the body recognizes satisfaction more clearly. Mindless eating disappears, and meals stop feeling empty. Food becomes an experience again instead of emotional static in the background of life. After several months, Mika stood in front of her mirror one morning and noticed something surprising. Her body had changed, but more importantly, her mind had changed. She no longer feared food. She no longer swung between guilt and binging because none of these habits relied on force. That's the hidden genius behind Japanese health culture. The system itself encourages moderation naturally. Smaller dishes, more walking, slower meals, less sugar, better sleep, food as ritual instead of distraction. These habits make eating less and moving more feel automatic instead of painful, and that's why they actually last. If you want somewhere to begin, start with the simplest habit of all: slow down. Eat slightly less than full. Hara Hachi Bu. That one principle alone can quietly reshape your relationship with food forever, because lasting health rarely comes from dramatic transformations. It comes from small rituals repeated daily until they become identity. So tonight, maybe don't focus on becoming a completely different person overnight. Just take one staircase, drink one cup of green tea, eat one meal without your phone, pause before fullness. That's how real change begins. Quietly, naturally, one habit at a time. If this video helped you rethink health in a calmer, more sustainable way, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos on simple habits, mindful living, and everyday psychology. And before you go, remember this: you do not need to punish your body to care for it. Sometimes the healthiest changes are the gentlest ones. See you in the next video.